This wasn't how we saw things panning out, but we're just gonna have to come up with a new plan. Welcome back to part 2 of our Ukulhas vlog. People spend thousands of pounds to have their own private beach villa in the Maldives. We are sitting here, okay, we might not have a villa right behind us, it's a 5-minute walk, but we have got this little section of beach all to ourselves, like literally no one has walked past. I don't know if it's because of COVID, so the island's a lot quieter, but it's amazing. It's like we have our own little slice of paradise and we're paying a fraction of the price that you would pay at a luxury resort. It's amazing. While we were here, we thought we would have another shot at diving, scuba diving, because the marine life here is really out of this world, so what better place to come and do a bit of diving.
7:30. We're just getting our breakfast before we go on our dive with the Murakabi dive centre people. I haven't slept that well, I was pretty nervous about it. I've done this once before, we did it in Indonesia. We're both anxious about it in various ways. Romana with the sort of claustrophobia of the water on it, and I just think I'm going to get eaten by a shark.
I'm feeling a wee bit nervous. I'm not really a claustrophobic person, but the last time we did diving I did feel a little bit of anxiety because we did go quite deep for a beginner kind of dive. So I'm kind of hoping that we don't go as deep as that today, and that we just kind of ease ourselves back into it. But I am looking forward to seeing the cool marine life down there, and I'm slightly scared in case we see a shark. And we're just hoping that we make it back in one piece. Funny story, we just turned up at the dive place and he started giving us some equipment, and it soon became clear that he kind of thought we knew more about diving than we did. And then it came to light that he actually thought that we had a license to dive, which we clearly don't. So I'm glad we got that cleared up when we did, because otherwise we were going to be going like pretty deep and we wouldn't have had a clue what we were doing. So we're still doing the diving, but we've come back this afternoon at 2 o'clock and he'll take us somewhere else, and it'll hopefully be a little bit more basic.
I would say always make sure you say what level you're at. Otherwise you end up in the middle of the ocean with all this equipment going, what did I do?
So it's second time lucky for the diving. We'd psyched ourselves up the first time, but here we go again. Let's hope this time we get to do it and we get back to dry land in one piece.
How do you feel? Eh? we're just waiting on Romana coming back up. I had to come back early because my tank was running empty because I was kicking about too much when I should have just been gliding. And Romana saw a shark. I can't believe it. That's what I came on this trip for, to see a shark, and I didn't. But I saw lots of cool sea life. So Romana's still paddling about down there, and I'm up here on my Todd.
Well, we're back on dry land and we're still alive. I did have a little bit of freak out times. Yeah, it's hard on the mind actually diving. It's more a mental battle actually of just trying to stay calm and not get too anxious about all the things that could go wrong. I mean, obviously that was only our second time, so we're total newbies to it, and I'm not sure if I would really want to do it again. Don't get me wrong, it was amazing, and we saw lots of cool fish and saw a wee reef shark and things like that, so it was great. But would I rush back in? Don't know.
And the first half of the dive was good, and then, you know, seeing all the shoals of fish and everything, I didn't see a shark. But water started getting in my goggles, so I did the little trick, looking up and breathing out with your nose, clear that bit, and then it started steaming up, and I started getting a bit disorientated, and I was like flapping about, and then they said, you need to go up. So yeah, I think my diving career has come to an end. Yes. Get all that rage out.
There's a handful of restaurants on the island, and we've been to a few of them. The ones that we've been to are Pepperoni, Ranthari, Retro Royal, and Celeste. The thing about Pepperoni that I really like is that it does really good milkshakes. So if you're a fan of milkshakes, go to Pepperoni. Ranthari is probably one of our favourite places to go for food. It's a really nice open air atmosphere within a newly built hotel. The food is probably slightly more expensive than other places, but it's a really high quality, and they do some really tasty Asian inspired dishes. Retro Royal is opposite where we're staying, and it's set within a garden area, and it can get quite dark at night time in the garden. They could do with having some kind of extra lighting because you can't really see too well, and I always worry when it's like that about mosquitoes. But the food is actually quite good, and last night I had the deviled fish, which was really, really tasty. They also do some nice mocktails and things in there too. And Celeste is down at the harbour, and it's on 3 levels. And if you're going there, I would recommend sitting on the top level because there's a really nice breeze that comes through up there. So the price for meals is roughly around about $20 for 2 main courses and a couple of non-alcoholic drinks. Obviously that varies from restaurant to restaurant, but that's about the average. And you can pay in either American dollars or Maldivian rupiah.
Yeah. It's on my head. It's on my head. I think he likes nesting on my head. I don't think the other one will come back. Just came in this field to test my drone. These wee boys are flying their birds, and this one I think likes me. There it is.
Another reason that we chose this island is because it's won awards for its environmental awareness, and it actually doesn't have a rubbish dump on the island. A lot of the other local islands do.
Even in a beautiful island like this, and a beach like this, and sea like this, you still get loads of crap washed up. This stuff is the biggest culprit. Look at that. Oh my god. Look at that, got snagged in a sea turtle. Not good. I'll put it in the bin when we go back to the hotel.
This could be a complete flop, literally. Flop. I have decided to try water skiing. I've never done it before, but I've always kind of fancied trying it, and I saw someone doing it the other day, and I kind of figured if there's anywhere to try it, it's probably here. And the good thing is that the beach isn't really very busy, so if I make a complete fool of myself, which guaranteed is going to happen, then less people will get to see it, although you're going to get to see it. Skiing wasn't for me. That was really good fun. Oh, I'm gonna sleep well tonight. We're here for our PCR tests.
Just had the PCR test right up the nose, and you can't miss this nose. But you know, I thought there was space to move around in, but it was like, oh.
That was the worst yet in terms of how deep she went.
Yeah, wasn't pleasant, but you know, fingers crossed for a negative outcome.
Tonight was supposed to be our last night in the Maldives. We were going to have an early night because we were going to get up and watch the sunrise before catching the boat back to Mali to catch our flight to Sri Lanka. It's now 10 to 10 at night. The boat leaves at 8 in the morning, and at dinner we decided to have another look at Sri Lanka and how it's doing for COVID, and we knew that things weren't looking great, but we were kind of like, well, let's take the risk. But then after having a look at some news articles tonight, we see that there's like a new variant in Sri Lanka that's spreading really, really quickly. Apparently it can stay in the air for up to 60 minutes, and also the health system in Sri Lanka is starting to struggle. So we just thought, you know what, that is too risky. So we're absolutely gutted because we've been so looking forward to going to Sri Lanka, and we all put it off before for other reasons. But we've decided it's just not worth taking the risk. So now we've literally had to cancel the flights tomorrow, and we're now trying to work out what our next steps are going to be, because we've had our COVID test here, which we're still waiting on the results for. But obviously that's only going to be valid for a short amount of time, so we need to decide if we're still going to leave tomorrow, and if we are, where are we going to go, or are we going to stay here a bit longer and come up with another plan. And we're trying to do all that on really bad Wi-Fi. And this is the time when you want the Wi-Fi to be really fast so that you can sort things out. This wasn't how we saw things panning out, but we're just going to have to come up with a new plan. I spent most of the night on my phone just trying to come up with options of what we can do next. Look, don't get me wrong, we're in the Maldives. There's a lot worse places we could be, but I think we were just both really looking forward to Sri Lanka, so it is a wee bit disappointing. But we want to make the most of this trip and we don't want to go straight home, so we've been thinking about other options. We did get our COVID test back eventually this morning at 5:30, which was really cutting it fine if we were meant to be leaving at 8 o'clock. And thankfully they were negative. We are now having to look at alternative arrangements, and we are thinking about staying in the Maldives for another week. Why wouldn't we? It's so beautiful here. But we do kind of feel like we've done everything we can on this island. We've eaten in all the restaurants that we want to, and we've kind of seen everything that there is to see. So we would quite like to go to a different island, but there are so many islands to choose from, and I'm just going to have to spend the rest of the day just working out what the best kind of option for us would be. So we were gonna stay in the Maldives for another week before we moved on somewhere else, but cases have started to rise here in the Maldives, and particularly on the island that we were on, and also a few of the islands that we were looking at going to had cases, and we just thought it's too risky. We had a little bit of a stress though, because we found out that there was some Indian holidaymakers on the islands that tested positive for COVID. And when we went for our initial COVID test to leave to go to Sri Lanka, some of those Indian holidaymakers were there also to get tested on the same day as us. And a lot of them didn't have masks on, and they were sitting very close to us. So it's been quite worrying the last day, waiting for the next PCR test that we had to get to be able to leave again. But thankfully the PCR test came back negative. However, it was all very last minute. We are leaving Ukulhas, and it was extremely stressful because our PCR test literally came back 10 minutes before we were due to get on the speedboat. I think I had about 1 hour's sleep because I was so nervous. Not the best end to the holiday in the Maldives. So we should have actually got the results by midnight last night, but they didn't come through until 6:20, and we got on the speedboat at 6:30. So we had 10 minutes to spare. It totally wasn't the manager's fault from the guest house though, it was just that the lab took a lot longer than they should have to get us the results. But anyway, we're here, we're at the airport, and we are leaving the Maldives. We're sad to be leaving. I really hope that we can come back once COVID is over, and we can maybe visit some other local islands, and we can visit some resorts maybe. So in terms of our next destination, we have decided to go to Dubai. The reason being that Dubai is, from there we can pretty much go anywhere in Europe. We've never been to Dubai before, so that'll be fun. So that is where we're going. So if you've been to the Maldives, or if you're thinking of coming to the Maldives, we'd love to hear where you are going to go, which island you're going to, which island you've been to, where would you recommend if we ever come back? Because we will, because it's been a brilliant holiday.